Yes, 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 people, we are back. H-God, Beer Sports Talk, and wow, all I have to say is wow. Now, based on my last video, if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. It's a banger video in my opinion. You know that yesterday was the beginning of the NFL draft. Now, the draft have multiple rounds, you know what I mean, on multiple different days. Today, when I'm recording this Friday, is another day of the draft. But yesterday was the first round of the draft where all 32 teams make their selection. And just like in my video yesterday, I was expecting that one of those selections at some point would have been Shedeur Sanders. But it turns out that NFL GMs did not feel the exact same way. And you see this, it's so interesting in sports whenever you find and see polarizing figures, you know what I mean? And really and truly, Shedeur, through just the legacy of his father, because the name Sanders is just polarizing. It's like you're either a super fan, so you're all the way locked in, so it's like your opinion and judgment is just clouded, or you're just a hater who does not and can't for the life stand to see, a black man be successful with his son and yada, yada, yada. And there are definitely people who are like that on both sides, right? But at the same time, there are people who see things down the middle just for what it is. And I would like to think that I am one of those persons in this scenario. I'm not saying that there aren't scenarios where I'm not on either side what I just stated, because at the end of the day, something we all know about humanity and humans is the fact that we are all hypocrites. Literally, we are all hypocrites when we are ready. So you can never stand too high on the high horse when it comes on to that. So I say that to say this, and let's get it out there completely. Shedeur Sanders is 100% a first round talent, okay? 100% a first round talent. Now, whether he's number 1, top 5, top 10, whatever it is to you, it's just your opinion of how you evaluate players and what you think. But for me, I am very shocked that he slid out of the first round. Because make no mistake about it, for one, I think the Giants are idiots. And it's very interesting saying that, right, after just saying, oh, your opinion or whatever. But I just say it from the standpoint of this, for a team that's been as bad as the Giants have been over these past few years, the decision making, even just recently letting Saquon go to Philly, who then goes on to help lead them to win another Super Bowl. You can't afford to take risk. And trading up to take Jackson Dart in the first round. Listen, Jackson Dart, super talented, lots of upside. Lots of upside, right? Watched him play for Ole Miss. Every time he played, it looked like he was getting gradually better and better. But Jackson Dart is still at least a season or two away from starting. And Shedeur would need time to get bedded in as well, but I just think his game, as for right now, it just translates a lot better to the pros than a Jackson Dart. So the Giants doing that, I don't really understand what they're doing. The Saints, Derek Carr, not healthy. Spencer Rattler doesn't look like he's you know what I mean, the guy. To me personally, I figured, Shedeur would have been great for them. Dome stadium, accurate passer, all that. Browns, I mean, the Browns. It speaks for itself. The Browns need a quarterback. Desperately. You know what I mean? But obviously Jacksonville came up and gave them that haul. So I could kind of understand Cleveland's standpoint, especially having 2 firsts next year and what's looking to be a much more loaded draft. But that is the thing about the NFL and the draft, and what a lot of these newly found Colorado Shedeur fans don't understand. This is business, and based on need and necessity and just pure circumstance, you will find yourself in a completely different position than what you thought you did. Because like I told people, I was telling people, based on how this draft is set up, in the first 5 picks, unless a quarterback needy team is going to jump up to try and get him, he's going to fall. Now, I didn't think he was going to fall out of the first round, me personally, but he's going to fall. He's going to fall because really, Tennessee was set onward, which happened, right? The Browns needed a quarterback, but the Browns need everything, so they could go in any direction, which they ended up trading to Jacksonville, who has a quarterback, so they go for the best weapons. The Giants could use a quarterback, but clearly their plan was they wanted Dart, and they knew that they could trade back into the first round to get him, so they passed it. New England just drafted Drake May last year, so they don't need a quarterback. The Raiders, well, the Browns were 5th, because they traded with Jacksonville, but like I said, they were already set on Dart based on what they did. So they, in their mind, knew who their quarterback was going to be. And then after that, the Raiders just signing Geno Smith. They have presumably their quarterback. So it's like, you look. And yes, this, like I said, outside of the first round is crazy to me. I didn't think that. But if you really looked on the breakdown of potentially what could happen, him sliding was not a surprise. And again, this is what I have to tell the fanboys out there, because you go online now, the outrage is crazy, you know what I mean? Like, there's every reason to why he fell. Oh, you know, his dad, they're trying to punish Deion, you know what I mean? They don't like, you know, a young, successful black man. Granted, a black quarterback went number 1 overall. So people saying that to me is kind of crazy, right? But they have every single reason as to why that happened, apart from the fact that maybe teams just didn't, or at least, like I say, quarterback needy teams, bro, because we're at a rare place in the NFL now where at least half of the teams that are out here more or less know and have who it is they want to be their starter already on the books. So looking from that aspect, you have to break it down from there and then go into the teams who are definitely quarterback needy. You go in and look at that and look at the likeliness of them drafting him. Because like I said, Shedeur is super talented. I feel like he definitely has the tools to develop into a starting level NFL quarterback. That being said, he has a lot of bad traits that he needs to work on and get rid of and show that he can get rid of to prove that he could go to that next level. You know what I mean? Because again, like I said, it's all good when you're playing in college on your father's team where your father controls everything and is going to cater it to you. The NFL, completely different scenario. Big boy leagues where nobody cares. I have a friend, I keep telling him that every time, and this is a lesson in life, every time you elevate, people will look back on what you did at your past level and give you merit for it, yes, but people do not care, bro. So people don't care how good you were in high school when you're in college. It's how good are you right here. People don't care how good you were in college when you get to the pros. It's what could you do here, right now. And for me personally, this is where that, oh, my dad has coached me my entire life aspect backfires on him, because there can be legitimate questions of, okay, how does this player perform outside of that comfort zone of knowing that I go home with coach every single day? You know what I mean? And me personally, just my personal opinion, those are valid questions. Those are valid questions. If a team is wondering and asking that, in my opinion, that's a valid question, because that's something I myself personally want to see, which is why I was like, Deion should not leave college to go and coach Shedeur wherever he get drafted and all that crazy shit people were suggesting, because to me personally, it's just not a good look, bro. You have to branch out and be your own man at some point. And again, because Colorado fans are upset, but what they fail to realize and understand is that the NFL and NFL scouts evaluate things way different than fans, bro. Like, they don't care how many celebs were at the game and stuff like that, and the story behind, because the Colorado program, while Prime is doing a very good job, at this point it's still built up on the story of it. You know what I mean? We only won one game and then we went from that to this and all that. But in terms of just tangible things, it's like there's nothing there. Like they haven't won anything. It's like literally, like they haven't even played in a championship game, and this is not me disrespecting them. We're just calling it how we see it and how it is. So with that, all of that right there, and if you actually read leading into the draft, just the talk and everything, the fans definitely had a higher draft grade on Shedeur than scouts and teams did. And if you were reading, you would have seen it. Now, like I said, to me personally, there's no way that the teams who needed Browns, Giants, Saints, most quarterback needy teams should not have passed up on him, definitely. But again, just the business of the draft, it's like with anything in life. Why would I pay $1 for it when I can get it for 50 cents at a next store? You know what I mean? Those teams are saying, right? Those three teams I named, the Steelers, the Saints, and the Browns, they're all now looking and seeing the board. Bro, like this whole draft strategy, that's why they have whole draft rooms. That's why they have scouting for years and developing a plan. That's why when you watch the draft, you look in the room, you see like 10 people in there, you're wondering like what's going on, because it's literally strategy. It's like playing poker. So those teams now look on it and say, well, we don't take him. And teams talk amongst themselves, definitely, right? There's no real interest for him elsewhere. There are no other spots that make sense. Here in the first round, we don't have to take him. Day 2 today, and I'm pretty sure day 2, I know the Browns have a few picks early. The Saints have a pick early. I don't think the Steelers have a second round pick. They have an early third round pick, and I think that's the floor for him. But even that being said, like if they feel so compelled, they could still trade up back into the second to get him. But they're literally just saying, why would we need to spend the extra money in the first round to get him when we know for a fact we can get him in the second and pay cheaper? You know what I mean? So ultimately, this is not because again, like I said, if you look online, the internet will have you lose complete faith in humanity, bro. Because there's just so many irrational people. So you look online, you see everything, it's about this, it's about race, it's about his dad, it's about this. How about it's just about business? How about that? How about that? Because listen, as good of a prospect as Shedeur is, we've seen better prospects slide, bro. We've seen multiple MVP winners, Super Bowl winners, etc. all slid and fell further down than what people would have expected. And my question is this, what makes people genuinely think that, well, some people, because a lot of people have it, but what makes people think that Shedeur Sanders is bigger than the program, bigger than the process? Because he's not. This happens. And the only thing I have to say is because I could go into, the whole flashiness and cockiness, all that. Like, me personally, I don't care. It doesn't really bother me. Some people, it will rub them the wrong way because, when they see you so involved in the lifestyle, it makes sometimes coaches question your true dedication and desire, whether right or wrong. That's up for whosoever to decide. You know what I mean? We've seen plenty of examples where guys who are like that are all the way locked in and they aren't. So it really just depends on individuals. And you know what I mean? There were reports who said that Shedeur didn't have some of the best interview processes. We don't know because we weren't there. But the only thing I would have to say to the young man is that you have been the guy for basically your entire life growing up now. You know what I mean? Quarterback, playing, all that. That's cool. Now, it's like playtime is over. And I'm not saying that he wasn't taking it serious or playing, just to say that it's like playtime is over. This is the big leagues. The big leagues. And like I say, in this league, nobody cares about anything that you have done. Okay? Look at it. Aaron Rodgers won all them MVPs, the Super Bowl and all that. He's had a terrible last 2 years and people are killing him. So we don't care what you did. People don't care. You have to step up, prove, and show. And now, it's like, in his, he put out a post yesterday and said, he wasn't expecting this, but this is just fuel to the fire. And I hope it is, because now you have to prove yourself now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know what I mean? Because teams are basically now throwing the gauntlet down. And like I said, I think bro is going early today, which is still good. Top end of the second round, he's still making good money. You're not making that first round money. You know what I mean? You're not making that first round money, but he's still making good money. And for Shedeur, he's come from a good life. His dad has been very successful and provided a great life for them. So while taking $30 million less, I don't care how much money you have. Losing $30 million, that hurts anybody, even the richest persons. Nobody wants to just lose $30 million just because. But this now is your opportunity to make that all back on the back end, because you now have to go in, play with a fire, ball out, and like you said, prove all the doubters and the people who don't believe in you wrong. And with that being said, people, that's all I have for y'all today in this one. The draft, it was definitely very interesting. It kind of played out how I figured it would have, if I'm being real with you. You know what I mean? Not that much surprises apart from, again, like I said, Shedeur falling, all that. Today is night 2. Gonna be locked in, gonna see what comes out from there, see if he gets drafted, see what other surprises, Draft night 1, live reaction is coming as well. I might do it for night 2. I might just do the Patriots, reaction for the Patriots, or, probably any surprising picks or trades, stuff like that. But yeah, we locked in. I'm glad that you are all here locked in. And if you made it this far, comment Shedeur slide. Yeah, comment Shedeur slide. And yeah, until the next one, people, I'm out.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened for no reason. All this is of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day. We're gonna be happy regardless. Legendary.
Ooh.